What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new, my name is Evan and I make videos about hot stocks, dividends, and options. So if that interests you guys, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Now in today's video, we're going to cover the difference between NIO and Tesla. And if you're trying to choose one electric vehicle company, this video will kind of give you a rundown between the similarities and differences. So it might help you decide if you want to invest in just one over the other. A lot of people would just invest in both, but I know a lot of people don't like to diversify very much if they can help it. So let's start off just with the share prices here. So NIO is actually up today almost 7%. Yesterday they were down between 4 and 5% most of the day because Tesla actually got declined to be added to the S&P 500. And so NIO somewhat followed that trend yesterday. But NIO also had some bullish news come out from a German bank that raised their price target up to $24. So that kind of helped mitigate and balance out the drop from yesterday, where if they would have been following Tesla, they would have dropped more. But you can see today they're up 7%, so they're up above where they were yesterday. And then taking a look at Tesla, of course they're up too, because it seems like NIO is always following Tesla, but Tesla is actually up more than NIO. They're up around 10% today. But if we actually take a look at the 1 week chart, the two charts look pretty similar between NIO and Tesla. So here's Tesla, and then here's NIO. Now the only difference really is on September 4th, where they don't really look too similar. But if you were to block out September 4th, these charts would look pretty similar. But I think it's good that both NIO and Tesla are up today because, as most of you guys know, the market's been down lately in the past few trading days. And one of the reasons I think why the market dropped so much in the last few trading days is because there was this whole thing about this bank named SoftBank, and they essentially bought a bunch of calls on Tesla and then dumped them, which inflated the price and overall inflated the tech sector as a whole. And then they just dumped them, cashed out and secured a bunch of money. And then after that, obviously, as we know, the market dropped. Now the market wasn't totally affected just by this bank, but they did pump in billions of dollars into Tesla and then just dumped it once they had a profit. But like I said, this didn't affect the entire market, but this was probably one of the factors of why the market became so inflated and then it dropped off pretty quickly. Now I think the market's kind of at a support level here, and it should kind of maintain around this area that it's at now and should start crawling back up. A lot of people think it's going to continue crashing, but I don't think that's really realistic to predict. It's possible that it drops slightly, but I don't think there's going to be anything like what happened back in March. So let's jump into what you guys came to this video for, which is a comparison between NIO and Tesla. Now this video is actually from June. So the numbers that you see and the share prices and things like that, don't look at them as being accurate as of right now because they're almost 3 months behind. But I think this article gives a good representation of the differences between NIO and Tesla. So besides the share prices and not updating deliveries for both companies because this is 3 months old, it still gives a good representation of the differences. So the first difference we're going to go over is just the differences between the core business between NIO and Tesla. So for those who don't know, NIO was actually founded pretty recently in 2014, and it says that they offer 2 premium electric SUVs, but they actually have 3 now because they're working on the EC6 and they're going to be releasing it very soon. But both the ES8 and the ES6 are priced at about $51,000, and they also have a self-driving technology just like Tesla does. Now, I've never owned either of these vehicles, so I can't say which one's better for self-driving. I would assume Tesla would be just because they've been around longer. And you see all over the internet people using autopilot and they're doing their makeup and they're going on their phone and all these other things. I mean, I don't advise you to do that, but you see all over the internet that people are using their Teslas pretty much like it's just going to drive itself. So I don't know how NIO exactly compares to this, but NIO also offers a battery swap service. And this is essentially where you drive your NIO vehicle into this box and you park it there, and it takes between 3 and 6 minutes. They want it to take 3 minutes, but right now I believe it takes closer to 6 minutes, and it basically takes the battery out of your vehicle, swaps in a new one, and then you have a full charge and you can just drive away. So compared to Tesla, I don't think they're working on anything like that as of right now. So that gives NIO a pretty big edge. But then looking at the financials, NIO is still pretty far away from making a profit. And as of 2019, they had made $1.1 billion in revenue, but they had $1.6 billion in losses. And it says here that their gross margins remained negative and that it indicated that the metric could turn positive, and I think it did turn positive as of the second quarter of 2020. I could be wrong, but I believe that they did turn their margins positive. NIO has also had to periodically raise their capital just in order to make it. Like, for example, through this pandemic, they weren't sure whether they were going to make it through, and they also weren't sure whether they had enough cash back in December to make it through 2020. But for NIO, they have the Chinese government kind of backing them up. And they're also giving a lot of benefits when you buy an electric vehicle versus a combustion engine over in China. And I know it's somewhat similar in the United States, but I wouldn't say it's really a benefit as much as almost a law. For example, by the year 2025, semi-trucking has to be emission-free. So if the US government puts a similar law into effect for standard vehicles and not just trucking, that's when you're going to see Tesla start taking off, because they're going to have to produce more vehicles and people will be forced to buy electric vehicles. But at the same time, you're going to see new electric vehicle companies pop up, and you'll see these standard car companies that are only producing normal engines right now, you'll see them start to produce electric vehicles as well. So now moving over to Tesla, they're quite a bit more mature and they've been around a bit longer than NIO. And just in 2019, they grew their deliveries by over 50% and they sold 368,000 vehicles. And one of their cheapest vehicles, which is the Model 3, starts at $38,000. So when you compare that to NIO's $51,000 for the ES6 and the ES8, it's quite a bit cheaper. The only difference is that NIO is also coming out with this battery as a service, and they've actually released it, but I don't know when it goes into effect for buying vehicles. But you essentially can save about 20 to 25% on the purchase of a vehicle, because you just buy pretty much the shell and the battery doesn't come included with the vehicle. Well, I shouldn't say that. It does come with the vehicle, but you're basically leasing the battery. So just like you would lease a vehicle and you would pay monthly, NIO is trying to incorporate a very similar thing for their batteries. So you would pay for the vehicle and then you would lease the battery. So just to the consumer, it seems cheaper because you don't have to pay for that battery, you would be leasing it. But I'm not sure in the long run whether it would save you money or not. They claim that it would, but it's hard to say because you're still paying a lease off unless you choose to buy the car with the battery. And then if we move down to the bottom of this paragraph, it actually says that Tesla has a pretty competitive edge over NIO when referring to their self-driving software. And this is just because of their large number of vehicles on the road. They have more data to collect, and so they can vastly improve how the self-driving works. And they can update it over the air. Now NIO also updates over the air, but because NIO doesn't have as many vehicles on the road, they don't have as much data to improve the self-driving as Tesla does. And Tesla also has the lowest battery cost in the industry. So overall, even though NIO has grown pretty fast lately, they do have a lower valuation when compared to Tesla, but they're also much riskier just because they haven't been around as long as Tesla and they haven't established enough history. So while Tesla stock is pretty expensive, they're much more established and they're very desirable, especially in the US. I don't know how desirable they are over in China as compared to NIO. I know a lot of people have their opinion on both NIO and Tesla and which one they think looks nicer and which one seems more luxurious. But I think there's an argument for both sides. A Tesla is much more minimalist and they hardly have any buttons on the interior of a Tesla. Pretty much everything is controlled by the tablet in the center of the vehicle. Where NIO, on the other hand, you could argue that they're more luxurious, but they also have way more going on in terms of buttons and actual physical amenities in the vehicle. So it's more of an opinion to the buyer of which one they prefer. I think personally you could argue which one you like better, but overall there's not really an argument to say which one is better or which one looks nicer. Now the last difference that I personally think could give you an edge if you were to buy NIO versus Tesla is that they have way more growth potential than Tesla does. Because if you look at Tesla, they skyrocketed in the last few months, and then they did that stock split and they split into 5 stocks. But NIO is still in the beginning stages of their share price. They have so much potential growth that could happen. And so say you bought in and you bought shares at $20 and they went up to $200. That wouldn't seem so crazy in the next couple of years, but that's 10xing your money. Now, if Tesla 10x'd again, that would be insane. If they went from whatever they're at right now, around 400 to 500, and they 10x'd, they'd be up between $4,000 and $5,000 a share again, and they would have to do another split. So I think the potential for the share price to grow is way bigger for NIO, but on the other hand, it's much riskier in my opinion. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments. Do you think that NIO is a better buy, or do you think Tesla is a better buy? And which one would you prefer to hold long term? Also, if you guys enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate if you hit the like button because it really does help out the channel. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you back here in the next one. Bye.